Okay, you guys, as promised in the last video, I'm going to go over the mean ranks and essentially what they mean. Ha, that's funny. Um, so just looking at this, we see that our extensions, well, that it's ranked from lowest to highest. So just relaxed is the relaxed hairstyles are the lowest with 5.2, natural 7.3, and extensions 11.5. So just looking at them, you can see that there's a difference. Superficially, there is a difference between the three. However, just going back to our Kruskal-Wallis test, it's telling us something otherwise. It's telling us that there is no difference between the groups. So if we were to conduct a further analysis, so our post-hoc analysis, we would see that when we run it, we're not going to see a difference in anything at all. But just to continue on, just to see any more differences, or just to look at it visually, we can plot a box plot. And so I run this command here to create the bones of the box plot and flesh it out. Ignore this, ignore all this, ignore it all. So just looking at it, we see the spread is wider for extensions, but not as much for natural hairstyles and relaxed hairstyles. And what I really believe that this assignment highlights is the importance of having enough people in your study to see, to examine the spread of the data and not really freak out over it. I mean, but that's you. If you freak out, I can understand. But if you don't, power to you. So, I also want to show you how to do the post-hoc procedures. So, in particular, the main way that we can do it, well, one way we can do it is this way. However, well, I'll just run it and I'll show you right after. So here we see our post-hoc analysis, so our multiple comparisons after our Kruskal-Wallis test. So the difference here, right here, tells us that, well, if it's false, it means it's non-significant. If it's true, it means it's significant. So that would mean that it would be significantly different from each other, or one group would be different from each other. However, we're not seeing that. But one thing about this particular comparison is when you're comparing all the groups against each other, you're running the risk of, or you're inflating the type 1 error rate, and you don't want that at all. So when using a post-hoc analysis with the Kruskal-Wallis test, you want to use a more focused comparison. So we actually do that here, and this command allows me to do it. So once again, and just looking at the difference here between our comparisons, we notice that our critical difference has gone down. So with these groups, they compare relaxed to natural and relaxed extensions. I do want to highlight the importance of having different groups to test for your study. Obviously, you want to make sure you get the most out of it. But even with the further testing, we see that there is no difference between these groups. So just overall, just to sum it up, there is no difference. Going back, hairstyles worn by black women do not have an impact on attractiveness rating. So, and just further breaking that down using the post-hoc analysis, we see that there is no difference between groups in regards to attractiveness ratings. So just in essence, the main picture is that black women, the hairstyles that they wear does not have an impact on how people perceive on how people on people's perceptions of attractiveness of them. So in essence, this makes me really, really happy, but also makes me really, really curious. But I do want to highlight that, once again, for that one person who's going to take this and run with it, and please don't be that one person. Nobody likes that one person. This is fake data. The data set in each portion of the video is fake. Please don't be that one person and be rude and be, don't be an asshole and take it and run with it, because nobody likes that person. Don't be that one person. Don't socially stigmatize yourself. Now, also with effect size, something really interesting with the Kruskal-Wallis test is that um, the effect size doesn't really provide a useful telling. The reason being because it's going to give like a general summary. So in this case, it's really not that critical for us to conduct a or to do a effect size calculation. So that's pretty much it for our video. So just to sum up both things that we've done, we have done the Kruskal-Wallis test and we have done the Wilcoxon Rank Sums test, two non-parametric tests that you can use on your data if your data violates the assumptions of homogeneity of variance or normality or whichever or any parametric assumption at that. Like I said before, these tests are less restrictive. They're extremely flexible. They don't rely on assumptions as much. So these are really good alternatives to just transforming your data in a way. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's great. But with these particular tests, you can still use these. You can use these tests as a way to see what your data is still telling you. So they're not bad at all, people. I was a non-believer. Now I'm a believer. They're not bad.